I want to start off this replay real quick by just making a note that I do read every single comment that is left on my videos. No matter how old the video is, YouTube will notify me that the comment's been left. And I do read every single one, no matter what it is. Whether it's something positive, something negative, or another person just commenting about why my videos upload in 360p, which, by the way, the reason for that, if anyone might be new here, is because when videos upload to YouTube, you upload the file and it defaults to 360p during the upload, and then that is what the initial upload is. And then after a period of time, HD processing happens, and that's just like a YouTube thing, where the processing upscales it to the desired resolution. In this case, it would be 1080p. And that process takes about 30 minutes to an hour. So if you ever watch a new upload and it's 360p, that is why. Just wait like 30 minutes to an hour and it'll be in 1080. So that's all I'm going to say about that. First things first, obviously this is a post-recorded replay. Second things, I guess, looking at the matchmaking, threats to my ship, there's a Lexington, there's a Baltimore radar, marker and Farragut for destroyers, and an Undyne for submarines. So right here, what I'm looking at is, first off, there's a Nuremberg, like, kind of fucking off straight to the corner of the map. So that it is immediately telling me that this guy's not going to be any use to me whatsoever. So I'm already kind of looking at a bit more of a defensive approach. But the thing is, I do outspot both of their destroyers by quite a margin, actually. The marker, the stealthiest it can get, is 6.3 kilometers compared to my 5.4 kilometers. So I am at an advantage in that direction. And speaking of directions, I do put out torpedoes at this Farragut, and my plan right here was trying to bait this Farragut into smoking up. I was trying to knock out his engine for one thing, and hope he might slow into these torpedoes, or he slows down to smoke up right in front of them, which, spoiler alert, neither of those is going to happen, but I do end up drawing the attention of the carrier, which is slightly annoying. But at this stage in the game, I still have a lot of health, so I'm not too stressed about it. I am going to take some damage from it, but for the most part, it's going to be okay. This carrier is actually going to get lucky here again and land a little bit more chip damage, which is mildly annoying, but it's really not that bad. What is annoying is that Lazo salvo, though. I'm just trying to get out of the detection range of these planes. So at this point, this Farragut is already, I didn't see exactly how much damage he took during that exchange. I'm pretty close to halved, which is not ideal. At this point, I did end up trading a lot more health than I would have liked for that. I was hoping that Farragut would have died during that exchange to the Kansas or the Ismail. And ideally, we would have had a Nuremberg who would have been participating, but, you know, none of that happened, which is unfortunate, but oh well. So right now, this Farragut is, interestingly, not in D. I would have expected that he was going to just kind of dip right into D there, because he was last spotted right next to it, so it is curious as to why he's not doing that. And what I'm guessing he's doing is he's either sitting in his smoke screen over there, or he doesn't want to draw the attention of the carrier and he's just hauling ass. So right here, we're launching torpedoes at this Kansas, and I do pop a reload booster here, and I'm thinking that this North Carolina is just going to start hard reversing. So I launch those torpedoes behind him. The idea is this Kansas hopefully is going to eat at least a few of those torpedoes I launch towards him. And this North Carolina will see that, think, okay, Kagero torpedoes are already down, they've been fired, and they hit the Kansas. So I'm safe to just kind of chill here for a while. And this North Carolina ends up accelerating, which is annoying. But the Kansas does end up eating some of those torpedoes, but the North Carolina, he accelerated for a few seconds, which threw off that entire salvo. So it is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And there it goes. If that North Carolina had hard reversed, at least one of those torpedoes probably would have hit. But, like I just said, it is what it is. Uh, but that is going to tell that North Carolina, if he's smart, that's going to immediately tell him that I do not have smoke, because that those two battleships just saw back-to-back torpedo salvos from the unspotted Kagero. So if that North Carolina is any good, he's going to be telling the rest of his team the Kagero has reload booster. So, and based on what's going to be happening in a little bit here, it does look like that's what he did in fact say. But for right now, what I'm looking at is I kind of want to spot out this Lazo, and I'm going to hope that this Kansas will kill him. He was last spotted right there, and of course, he ends up being there, which I honestly wasn't expecting. I was kind of expecting him to try and hug the island and try and dip behind the island right there, or even the one that's right there, but it didn't happen. Just launched some torpedoes out while I was broadside anyway. I'm not going to sit broadside for while spotted in order to try to get torpedoes off. I was when I rounded that corner there and I got spotted, my very first instinct was just launch the torpedoes and then turn away. Because I don't want to be sailing broadside while spotted at that range in front of a Lazo. Because that Lazo would very likely have killed me there, or gotten me down to such low health that the carrier would very easily finish me off. Right here, I do have the armor piercing loaded, and what I'm hoping for is our carrier's going to come over here and finish off this Lazo. I'm trying to avoid getting detected here if I can possibly help it. I want this Lazo to die, hopefully to our carrier, so I don't have to give my position away in order to get the finishing blow on him. And then once that Lazo is down, I can move down south here and hopefully try and put some torpedoes into these battleships who are either going to be walking this way towards their home cap to meet our push that's about to happen through A here, or their push that's going to be walking up the 910 line. But if they were going to be walking up the 910, I almost definitely would have spotted them by now. We're just going to launch some torpedoes out here again. And this fucking carrier is coming back for me. So it does look like that North Carolina did in fact tell his team that Kagero does not have smoke. He's a reload booster, so he's not going to be able to hide. And the Parseval finally ends up killing the Lazo. Little too late. I really wish that carrier would have done that earlier, so then I wouldn't have had to shoot at him and have my gun bloom, and that's what's keeping me detected right here. And I think that carrier got an annoyingly high damage roll on me there as well, like 3,000 damage, which is really annoying. But right now, all I'm doing is just trying to play dodge the fucking rocket planes, which I do manage to do that time. And this, I think that's the North, no, that's the Kansas taking 16 kilometer shots on me. And right now, I have two options. I can either walk down south and try and get torpedo shots on these battleships, or I can step into D and try and stall that cap. And I am going to step towards D here, and the main reason for that is because if I were to move down south here, these two battleships would be moving, kiting away from me. They're going to be either pushing up the middle, or they're going to be pushing out down south their home cap. Either way, they're going to be heading directly away from where I am, which is not the position you want to be in a torpedo boat, because I'm basically neutered at that point. I will never hit any torpedoes on those guys when they're basically running straight away from me. So that's why I'm making the decision to head towards D. So that way, when they push into the middle, or rather, if they push into the middle, I can put torpedoes out on them from inside the D cap. But this fucking carrier is going to throw a bit of a wrench into that plan, which, nice drop, by the way. You have to hand it to this carrier. He is nothing if not persistent. But at this point, with this carrier spotting me, I am very limited in where I can move because there is a North Carolina with HE loaded, mind you, right on the other side of the island there. So right now, really the only thing I can do is dodge to the best of my ability while trying to keep this island in between myself and this North Carolina. And North Carolina does get a shot off, which is annoying. But it looked like most of that missed, but the Lexington did get lucky with a bomb hit as well. But I am now in the very unenviable position of coming under just straight up dedicated carrier focus in front of a North Carolina who is pressing W. And initially, what I was looking at right here was I wanted to kind of turn out and just start cutting away from this North Carolina. But as soon as I see this North Carolina nosing in and pressing W straight at this island, I know that I am not going to be able to get away undetected. If I leave this island, I will get detected, and that North Carolina does have HE loaded. So right now, my main focus is staying alive if possible, but I just want to be as annoying as I possibly can for these guys to kill and take as long as possible for these guys to kill. And we do manage to pick up the decap as well, which is actually very significant because it means that if I were to die right now, this North Carolina would not immediately have the cap back. He would have to spend another 60 seconds to flip the cap all the way back around again for his team to actually start getting points again from it. And this carrier is getting pretty trolled by, just a stationary Kagero, which is definitely something. And right here is a bit of a risk. I honestly didn't need to do this, but I am going to try and get torpedoes out on him. I'm just going to launch the torpedoes out, and I'm going to accelerate and try and keep this island in between me and the North Carolina, which it does happen. He pushes right out into the torpedoes, which it is a shame that we didn't get more damage from that. But with the threat of the North Carolina neutralized, that is basically the game won. Even if I were to die right here, we have 3 of the 4 caps, assuming that that the marker is going to flip A. And even if this carrier or the submarine somehow ends up flipping D, we're still ahead by almost 300 points. And the caps will be at equilibrium. So this game is pretty good. It's not won yet. There's still 6.5 minutes left to go. I am pretty low health, but at this point, even if I die, my survival is not essential to the game win anymore. So really my main goal right here is just deny this carrier as much as I can, basically. This carrier has spent the better part of the past about 10-ish minutes just hard focusing me, and he didn't kill me. And because of it, he is losing the game. Which, to be fair to that carrier, I am a Japanese destroyer, no less, that is all by myself for that period of time. So I was a pretty good target as any, and I was threatening the cap. So it makes sense that he is going to focus me, but it is still pretty annoying. And what else is annoying is even with a Tirpitz breathing down his fucking neck, this carrier is still going to try and fucking kill me. Which, honestly, like I said, this man is absolutely nothing if not persistent. You have to give him that. I do find his persistence to be rather annoying, though. Just going to accelerate into these planes, and he's going to overlaunch those. And right now, all I'm doing is I'm just trying to stay right by my friendly ships and trying to hang by their AA. And that marker pops up. He's low health. The Lexington finally dies, so as long as I can dodge these planes right here, that carrier would have focused me for 10 minutes straight and still failed to kill me. But I honestly don't know where the hell those planes are going. I'm going to see if I can speed this one up here. Hold on. Do I remember the key for this? Yep. The submarine does pop up, right? Or not pop up, but he pings right there. You can't see it because the minimap pings on the minimap mod isn't working because it's a replay. But points tick out, and that's going to be game. Something I really want to kind of point out there was when I was trying to dodge those planes. What you're trying to do is, okay, first of all, we're going to assume that Kagero has more than 2.5 kilometers of AA range. Let's just say this is a kid, right? And it has 5.8 kilometers of detection, or not detection, range on the, or 6 kilometers of range for the AA, but like I think 2.7 kilometers of detection for the planes. I'm trying to make sense of this here. So 6 kilometer AA range, 2.8 kilometer AA range. I am going to try and not turn on my AA the second it comes into range, because the goal is to cause this carrier to have to panic drop. The idea is that if you can remain undetected for as long as possible and force the planes to get as close as possible to you before detecting you, and that's going to give them the very least amount of time to line up a drop, and that's what you saw towards the island during the North Carolina engagement with the with those rocket planes constantly shooting ahead or behind me. The idea is just forcing that carrier to either predict where you're going to be, which if you can force them to predict wrong, they're just going to flat out miss, which we saw after the dive bombers and towards the end there. After the dive bombers got me down to like 280 something health, and the rocket planes came, he struck that area that was pretty much directly in sea in that channel, nowhere near where I was, because he predicted I would be there, but I wasn't. And because of it, he was already locked into the attack, and it was just too late for him to change it. And then with the, like I said earlier, with the North Carolina engagement, trying to leave that carrier as little time as possible to line up a drop on me, or as accurate a drop on me as possible. And that's what really let me live as long as I did there. And that's what really let me get away with that to start with. But then again, Kagero is a bit of a special case because the A range is so short. You don't really have to put too much thought into that, because you're not going to be giving yourself away even if you leave your AA on anyway. I still do recommend turning it off just because of people who drop ASW on nothing. But it is a shame we didn't get more damage onto North Carolina, but it is what it is. So that, I think, is going to be enough for this replay. Fun little game that was really annoying to play because carriers. Well done to our Turpitz, by the way. He had a pretty monstrous little game there. I'm not going to comment on the rest of that. So with all of that being said, I think that's going to be enough for this replay. So I will see you on stream tomorrow.